Hey, back again. So, it's the faceplate off the radio, and it has been stripped off. Oh, the horror. You took a radio apart. Right? I've heard that before. Let me zoom this in again. So, here's all the major components. And I keep I ordered them off of Amazon a long time ago, a whole bunch of these tiny little pill bottles, so I can put certain screws and mark them. It's better than a bag. But all of the buttons and stuff is in here, all the parts, the knobs. The radio itself, it's actually pretty dang easy to get this off. All you do is get underneath it and kind of get it to go. It's this one. Anyway, I want to do it wrong. When it's in the thing, you get a hold of it just right and it will rotate up. See if the releases is working. Anyway, get this out of the way before I break it. Now it's an interesting part. Because I need to make a replica of this to make a filler plate for the dashboard. The radio works fantastic. Everything is perfect. Now, just a quick quip, in case I forget to mention it later. You have to understand what kind of data your car is going to share with a radio. And it might have possible selections that don't work because the car doesn't share it with your car. In my case, there's some fuel information that it's not giving me, but I don't care. I have it on the main display. My last problem is casting this in a mold and replicating it in plastic with a different contour to fit right behind the radio. So that's what this whole bit is going to be about. Making a replacement filler plate for the dash of a Toyota Highlander. Yay. Sounds like fun, right? Now for something completely different. It's only tenuously related to automotive, this technology that we're going to see next. But I've used it a bit, so stay tuned. Especially if you want your installation to look perfect, Okay, now you can see several kinds of foam. There's like packing foam and styrofoam and cardboard and tape. And what I'm doing is damming up every little place where the casting silicone could possibly get inside there and start running in there, because those things got a lot of little nooks and crannies inside and you don't want to have a leak. So this is how I make what's called the rough cast. So I'm going to aim to get the outside profile really close. In here I don't care, because then I'll cast another thing of this with the center all filled in, and then I can carve it or mold it to the shape I need, and then cast another one that's the final one that's got the relief for the back of the radio. Does that make sense? Sort of. Yeah, so I'm going to cover it with this, which is pipe wrap tape, and it's a vinyl tape, and so the silicone won't stick to it and it'll come off real easy. And it sticks real good to the plastic dash panel. At least that's my method. We'll see if it works. Okay, so this is that stripped down faceplate off the radio. You've seen bits of that. And now it's all taped up, and I got a piece of wood to hold it so it'll hang down in the form. And it'll hold it above the bottom, because this is the part that faces the inside of the car. So I'll put that in there and I'll weight it down. Oh, turn it the right way. Set this guy down in here and get it the right spot. I'll weight it down just a bit on the end. I'll hold it in and I'll pour all the silicone around the edges to fill that up in there. So the other thing is, that's a lot of volume for the silicone, and it's not, you know, they don't give it away. So that's the reason for all of this. You can see where I've gone around with styrofoam, and I've built dams around to make a very close fit, shooting at a minimum of 1/4 inch and a maximum of like a 1/2 inch or 5/8 at the top, so that I don't waste the actual compound. And the other thing to remember is, this is no longer a support for a radio with the knobs and electronics in it. What I'm making is just a faceplate, so I don't need all of this width. In fact, most of this down here will be gone when I do the final piece, because this part right here is occupying the same place as the radio. When it's in the car, the faceplate is right in here, right across this area. So that's part of the process, is to make a copy of this and then carve it into the shape I need and make another mold of that one. So that's what I'm up to. Right now I've got to wait a while for all the silicone seal to cure up, and so it's dried up, cured, and then I'll do the pour. Wahoo! See if I can give you a look down in there. You can see the gap. Right around the edge. Another thing that I got to point out is that get it around here. You see this side. So this edge right here that goes around the radio, and this is the top, by the way. It goes right here along. There's a very intricate set of little recesses and plastic tabs where the vent assembly snaps on, and this doesn't really hold it as much as it interlocks with this, and it keeps the seam tight. So this is the seam that I'm most concerned with getting. See where I at? Right here. This little seam here. And so this edge is actually the very plastic that is the edge of the radio face all the way around. See if I can get up closer and give you a look at this. See this? So all of this is just on the outside, and I have very carefully sealed it all the way around. The interior of this is completely filled with foam rubber, styrofoam, cardboard, pieced together to fill all the volume, so if there's any kind of leak, it won't allow a lot to get in. But that's the thing I have to emphasize about this kind of a project, is that the reason this thing's all sealed up and duct taped is so that the silicone won't leak out when you're casting it. It's kind of expensive. It's not extremely expensive, but you don't want to waste it, you don't want to lose it. In the case of this, I don't want it getting inside there. So this is very carefully sealed everywhere with no voids behind the tape where they can actually leak through a crack. Or at least that's my hope. So yeah, sounds like fun, huh? We'll see how it comes out. Here's another quick tip. When you want to mix a pretty good volume of that silicone, you need a bigger can. Fortunately, my son is a chef at an Italian restaurant, so he can give me cans, more cans than you can believe. And those are big gallon cans. You just crimp them between a couple of pieces of angle iron off the scrap pile, and you make a beautiful little pour spout out of that can. Sweet! Okay, here's a quick video of it in there. I said I didn't have enough. Well, apparently I have barely enough. Hopefully. We'll see how it comes out. Back at you tomorrow. Okay, so it took me a long time to get that thing out of the form. Had some, usually this stuff doesn't stick real good, but apparently in some areas it kind of liked the vinyl tape on the actual cluster thing up there. But also down around the corners here, I'd use silicone seal and I let it cure, but there's some spots where it is so heavily attached to that silicone seal that I can't pull that form out, without a huge amount of effort. I don't really need to. So anyway, what you're seeing now is, where's the box? See this one. Now I've used this stuff quite a bit. Smooth cast onyx slow. And when they say slow, you got like 5 minutes to mix it and get it into the form. But it takes like an hour and a half to cure fully. But when it's cured, this stuff is really good. So we'll see how it comes out of the rough form. And I think I mentioned it earlier, this is a rough form. I'm really only trying to capture like some edges around here and the general shape. So it actually looks like it got some pretty good detail on the part that has to enmesh with the vent on the top of the dash. So cool. So far so good. Okay, here's the rough casting. And you can tell it's rough. Looks like tape and bubbles. It's all solid plastic. Let me kind of get down here and show the business end. This is the contour I was looking for mostly. This little clip here, this piece here, those 3 pieces. Just for comparison, there's the 2 together. And you can see some of the black plastic that got into these holes where the rubber didn't seal. I don't care. In fact, a lot of this I'll probably eliminate to make it easier to cast the next one. Like I said, I start with a rough and I make the profile and then I move on. Cool. Okay, here it is inside. Hot glued onto the bottom board, and then I've worked a boundary of clay all the way around it, because I don't need the new piece to be as thick as the old one. It's not containing anything. Yep. So now I mix up the stuff and pour it in there. Well, thought I pushed the button that turned that on that camera, but apparently I didn't, because I went over there and thought I'd turn it on and came and poured this stuff all in there, got it all set up, and then I went to turn it off and it was still off. So sorry, bozo visits. But it's in there, it's all in there. Now it's like 5-6 hours, let it cure. So tomorrow I'll mess with it, see what it came out like. Cool. Okay, this thing is, it's the next day and it's pretty solid. Just to show you how this stuff works. This is what was left in the bucket I mixed it in. See? And it just peels all off and the bucket's reusable. So I'm gonna have to take all the screws out and I'm gonna have to kind of work it out of there. Yep. Stand by. Okay. Because this is a pretty big form. It's got a lot of surface area to grab on. And I'm trying to start breaking it loose from the edge. So it's going to be a lot of work, I think, getting this out of here because it's such a big form. This particular kind of silicone is not super strong in terms of tearing, you know, so you got to kind of be gentle with it. I didn't have the what they call a platinum. I'm using old stuff, so I'm just trying to get it to let go a little bit. If you use a knife or something, you're liable to just cut it. So I'm using this plastic tool to go around the edge, try and get it started letting go. So anyway, this is the process I use. I get it broke down, cut loose from the, what do you call it, down to the clay. I might have a chance of just popping this out of here. Now, if I had spent a lot more time making the edge of this wood very, very smooth, like polish, you know, sand it really smooth and maybe seal it and sand it again, it would come out easier. Now you can see I'm able to get around the edges. I'm all the way down in there now. We're pretty close. All right, it's getting close. Let me zoom it out a little bit. There it is. What I'm gonna try now to do now is, this piece of wood isn't attached, you know. So I'm gonna find a little hear that? Some crack in action. There it is. That's what I'm talking about. See there? This is the 4 bits of hot glue I use to glue it down. That's the way I like it. So now I can go along this edge. from the back side. See all the clay? I didn't have anything leaking through. Very nice. So this is gonna go too long if I just do it all. I'm gonna work on it real meticulously and get it out. You kind of see the idea. You gotta be really careful to getting this out. It's a big casting. So stand by, I'll get it out. This second mold, and I have cleaned this thing all around the edges. The piece I cast it from had like real thin felt and stuff, and it got into the rubber, so I cleaned it. I've been very meticulous about making sure every one of these little recesses are clean, if there's nothing in there. And I use a gun to blow it out. And then I have made these little guys, and they actually go right here. Make sure I get the, well, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna glue these in, super glue these in right here so that the power points can fit in there like that. And then I've got this piece of clay that fits kind of like down in there. I'm going to position it all perfectly, and then I'm going to pour the black hard plastic in here. Now, just a little tip. The plastic will take everything. It's hard to tell here, but you can even see it looks like tape because I had the thing taped up. That fine a detail. So every little flaw will show up. And the final product, you want it to look really nice. So you got to spend a lot of time getting these edges all as close to smooth and perfect as you can. Because what I'll do is I'll take this out and use like body filler and primer to sand it perfectly smooth. So when I get it perfect, I'll make another mold that will reflect that part, and it'll be as close as it gets. At least that's the plan. So yeah, now I'm going to glue this stuff all together, get it set, and I'm going to pour the plastic in here. It has a 5-hour cure time, so it will really settle in there. Thing to remember about the long cure times is that the longer it stays fluid, the more it can work its way into little cracks, and the more the bubbles can get out, and yeah. So that's the way it's going to go. Stand by. Okay, so I took the bolts out so I could pull this off. This guy is just free floating, so let's see if we can get it off of here. I want to work it off because there's like protrusions that go in, and I don't want anything to get caught. Here it comes. Come on now. Huh. Look at that. Still got all of the clay in there. But what I'm really interested in is this. This is where the vent connects. It's perfect. Look at that. Even around here, it even looks like the felt that was on there. It's really wild. I am very happy. Now to work. I gotta refinish these edges and make it look all beautiful. So I can pull those plugs out. Oh, that one's got a grip on it. Iron. There it is. I like it. Very nice. Okay, so here's the form. Came out real nice. And then I proceeded to start refinishing it, and that's when the problem started. This is automotive primer to seal it, kind of get it ready for me to finish it. And this is the actual sanding primer. And boy, after this, it got complicated. Okay, guys, so I'm going to tie up this video right now so I can get on because it's got too long. So here is the piece I've been working on. Can you see how ugly it is? Right? So all these little defects are actually places where the coatings are interacting with the plastic, and then it ends up like some of the stuff comes up through the final layer. And to my shock and horror, I figured it out in the midst of it that some of the components I use that are automotive refinishing products had a lot of sulfur in them. And sulfur will totally ruin the curing ability of the silicone. So I found this out in the midst when I was running some test pieces, specifically on the back of this guy. There's a recess for the emergency flash switch and the indicator lights for the ABS, and it's actually the ABS passenger presence module that's mounted in the radio, and I'm going to mount it on the back of here, and I've got a hole so I can make a button to turn on the emergency flashers. So the only way to keep the sulfur compounds in materials from interfering with the curing of the silicone is to seal it with lacquer. So having a thing like this with non-lacquer, like like enamel paint, it doesn't matter. You put lacquer on it and it starts to eat the paint. So I have stripped this a couple of times and started over, and I'm getting really close. So I got to wet sand the hell out of this and see if I can put another coat of lacquer on it after I've sealed it, that I can get nice and smooth so I can cast another one of these. So it's been a real educational experience for me. So if you ever go to do this, make dang sure that you're not getting any sulfur bearing compounds or clays involved in the operation, because it will definitely inhibit the curing of the silicone. It ends up sticky and gooey. It's terrible. So you live and learn, don't you?